Good day, everyone. It's the top of the hour here, so we're going to get started, and thank you for attending today. My name is Gary Vallada. I am the channel director at Intellective. Today, we're going to be discussing our product Unity for Dynamics. That is going to be a presentation and demo done by Andrew, and we'll turn it over to Andrew in just a little bit. Feel free during the demonstration and discussion to ask questions. We'll do our best to answer all questions at the end of the session. Whatever we don't get to, we will then put our answers together, and then we will send to all attendees. We are also recording this, so all attendees will get a full recording at the end of the session. I also will, a few minutes into this presentation and demo, provide my contact information. So there are things you hear or you want to discuss, we can do a one-on-one conversation. You'll have my contact info in there. Please feel free to call. And at that point, we'll go through questions and use cases or whatever you would like to talk about. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to Andrew. And Andrew should be able to then jump on any second here.
Oh, I'm here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep. Okay, Andrew, thank you very much. And I'm passing it to you.
Okay, thanks, Gary. So I'm Andrew Schur. I'm a solutions director at Intellective. As Gary said, today we're going to walk through how you can use our core product, which is Intellective Unity, to benefit your business. So I'll give you kind of the punchline in the first 60 seconds here, and then I'll give you more details on how you can achieve this. So we help you sell more of your core services, both for new customers and for existing customers. And we do that via our integration framework, which we call Unity. It helps you solve some kind of unique integration challenges, and it lets you say yes to more customer requirements, which means more billable work for you. We help you deliver faster while lowering your risk. You guys are experts at what you do. You know that there's kind of a sweet spot for your digital transformation work. I think of it as kind of like an 80-20 rule, where 80% of the project work is in your wheelhouse. It's familiar technologies. You can deliver it reliably. You're giving good value to the customer for that work. You're making good margins on lower risk. But then there's kind of that other 20% that's a lot of times around integrations. And that's the hard part that's usually custom. That's the part where the customer wants to integrate with a vendor system that maybe you don't have experience with. And they want all their original functionality from that system. And they want security to flow seamlessly between them. So Unity solves that part. You get to focus on that 80% that you already know you can knock out of the park. And then we lower the cost and the risk of that other 20%. We also help put resell dollars in your pocket. So you sold, maybe 50 dynamic seats to one department at the customer, and you're delivering well on that project. But what about that 1,000 seats over there in another department that's using maybe a major line of business system? So we help you get those users onto Dynamics and Powerapps. While you're doing that, while you're delivering, we help you solve their integration challenges quickly so that they see the value of the platform and you're able to sell them those 1,000 new seats and they're happy with their purchase. We kind of call that being sticky at the customer. So you get an initial successful project, you demonstrate how many more apps and systems you could integrate into the platform, and then you keep expanding and showing value kind of across the organization. And that's something you folks are all able to deliver on. So in the next 20 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through how we do this. I'll show you a quick demo, and then as Gary mentioned, we'll answer any questions that you have. Quick just summary of who we are. So we provide integration solutions in content services, content collaboration, and process automation spaces. We're focused mainly on banking and finance, healthcare, insurance, government at so the federal, state, and local levels. We do serve other areas. Those are just kind of our primary focus. We partner with a lot of major vendors. For example, Salesforce and Microsoft in the CRM and kind of app platform spaces. content service providers, BPM suites like what IBM has, Box, OpenText, Alfresco, a lot of other ones. We work with industry solutions like Encino for banking as well. So at Intellective, we're focused on solving this core problem. Users have a primary application that they work in, but their content, their tasks, and their data often live in other places. A lot of times it's in multiple other places, like multiple enterprise systems. So they don't have a complete picture of all of the relevant information they need to do their job. And that leads to slower response times, worse decisions that are made because they're made with incomplete data, worse customer outcomes, angry customers because you're not able to respond as quickly as you'd like to, more risk, more investment in things like migrations and custom integration to try to kind of, cover that gap. AIM calls this problem content sprawl, which is a term that I like. It's really been kind of accelerating over the past 10 years, and the pandemic, I would say, has kind of supercharged it. So we see over and over again with customers this kind of content sprawl. So for example, a bank that went through multiple mergers, now they have some content in FileNet, some in Documentum because a company they acquired had that, some in Box, some in SharePoint, and they want to connect all of these to an app front end. Or say a company that kind of organically adopted different systems over time because different departments made different decisions and there was no kind of top-down approach for it. Or say a business adopts Dynamics because they're really sold on the value of Dynamics as an app platform, but their content and their process still lives in other systems and they can't easily connect those together. And this is an interesting one that I've seen a lot over the past year and a half. Pandemic drove them to adopt new solutions for work from home. So maybe they stood up a Box system because customers weren't walking in the door. They wanted to have a web experience, or they're using Teams for collaboration because everyone's working from home. So content sprawl is kind of a widespread problem, and your customers are grappling with it. Forrester says banks have been forced to do just rapid digital transformation happening in weeks rather than months or years to deal with this kind of sea change in how customers interact during the pandemic. AIM has this great kind of chart here they're saying getting the right information to the right person in context is a problem for 75% of businesses, which is a huge number. So how do we solve that problem of content sprawl? We solve it with our core product, which is called Intellective Unity. Unity is a low-code, no-code integration framework, connects multiple content, process, and data sources. It creates a single transformed view of the information from those sources, and then it embeds that view into a context that users care about. So today, we're really focused on how it embeds into Dynamics 365, but we can do the same thing with Salesforce if you have Salesforce customers, or if you have like a customer with a banking platform like Encino, or a customer with maybe a fully custom line of business app. Maybe it's an app that you built. We can work in those scenarios too. But I'll focus on Dynamics for today. With Unity as a user, I'm not going to multiple systems or screens to do my work. I use my preferred application like Dynamics. Within Dynamics, I see, for example, a single set of documents. I don't need to know or care which system those documents actually live in. I just see the relevant contextual information that I need to do my job. And importantly, I can transact from there. So out of the box, I can add documents, modify them, create versions, collaborate, comment. I can process cases and tasks that are coming from totally different enterprise systems. I get those full capabilities of my multiple different content and process repositories from this single contextual view. And I'll show you a demo of this in a little bit. So that gives me this full 360-degree view that I need to make better decisions, get better customer outcomes as a customer, without having to migrate data between different systems and without writing code or custom integration. So I'll walk through kind of an example. So let's say I'm a company called Hypothetical Insurance. You sold me on Dynamics 365 as an app platform. My staff love it. But I also have BPM workflows that live in an IBM system. I've got policy documents that are in OpenText because maybe that's my governance repository for long-term storage. I've got customers that are adding documents to Box because we stood it up during the pandemic. I've got maybe rating spreadsheets that are in SharePoint. We have SharePoint in-house. Some of our folks started using it. Maybe we started using Teams, and those naturally go into SharePoint. So organically, it became something we used. Let's say I have a historical info in a database, which I see over and over again with customers, where there's one kind of database that has valuable information that's been around for 20 years that's really hard to integrate and put in context with other information and sources. So with Unity, I can bring all these sources of content, process, and data together. I can merge it into this single seamless view, and I can embed that into Dynamics. So what does that look like? I'm in Dynamics, and I can see documents, I can see cases, I can see tasks. It's really a merged view of everything from OpenText, IBM, Box, SharePoint, et cetera. It can be infused with data from my legacy database. So if I want to show a column of data here that's relevant to my documents that lives in that database, I can infuse that data into these views. And it's showing me only what's relevant for this particular account or entity. And we'll talk more about that during the demo. Unity also has a feature called Actionable Analytics. So we take your event data for processes, content, records. We provide users with an analytics view, both of current and historical activity. And with this, customers can understand how work is being processed, why am I not meeting my SLAs, how can I evolve my processes to kind of achieve that hyper-automation goal that Gartner and other analysts talk about. And we're showing them the full picture across multiple repositories. So it's not just one particular system, it's an aggregated view of activity across multiple systems. Now, a lot of platforms have some form of analytics today. So, Microsoft has Power BI, for example. Why is Unity different? What's the differentiator here for you as integrators and as partners to customers? So we make it actionable. From my analytics view, I can directly do my work. I'm not just looking at a read-only view. I can actually take action and process tasks. I can reassign or redirect workflow. I can drill down into cases and add or modify documents. So rather than just being an informational display, it's an actionable interface for doing work. And I'll demo this in a few minutes. Target customer. So your customers, which ones are the right fit, which ones are good targets for Unity. So the ideal customer has adopted or wants to adopt Dynamics 365 or Powerapps. They want to use it as a low-code app platform. They see the value of that from their business side. So think companies like Toyota, where they invested really heavily in the Power Platform. They believe in the vision of it as a low-code app, and they're trying to develop all of their apps on that platform in many areas. Or maybe the customer is using it as a CRM, they like it, and they want to create new line of business apps on it because the customers are sold or the users are sold on that being their business platform. In addition to using Dynamics or Powerapps, they have documents, records, cases, workflows in other enterprise systems. And it's very common, especially in the mid-sized and larger customers. So most banks we talk to have at least one separate enterprise content store. Maybe it's FileNet, maybe it's OpenText. A lot of times they'll have 2 or 3 different content stores. Many customers added Box, for example, over the past few years, which we talked about. Talk to your customers. If you do kind of a quick product scan, either with them or using tools that you have, you're likely to find these multiple different silos of information, which kind of means that there's probably a fit here. A customer might have migration needs. So maybe they're already talking about evaluating doing a migration to try and deal with this content sprawl kind of problem. And that's a sweet spot for us too. So with Unity, we have this strong story about how you can leverage how you can deal with this problem and deal with migrations that would otherwise be costly or heavy on risk. We've got some additional tools that you can use like Intellective Interchange. We've had a lot of success around migrations, particularly in moving to more modern platforms, app modernization. So we can help you evaluate and win on those opportunities too. I don't talk a lot about that today, but I'd love to hear questions on it, and we can do a follow-up on specifically that migration use case. So for these kinds of customers, you can engage them with your normal services offerings, but you can also bring Unity to the table to help you solve this specific integration challenge and connect those repositories to Dynamics or Powerapps. So at this point, you might say, okay, Andrew, can I go to a vendor connector to do this? Why do I need Unity? Can I talk to IBM and use their connector? A couple of reasons why Unity is more of a fit here. Number one, we can combine data across different repositories and different vendors into one view, which different vendors typically aren't going outside of their own product stacks and to provide integration. So it's a federated search capability, and it's made automatically contextual and with the full ability to transact on that content and process from all of those multiple stores. Number two, we can often meet more use cases. So for example, Unity doesn't just do content, you can do process and workflow. When I open an account, I automatically see relevant cases for that account from IBM BAW or other process sources. If I have an IBM case, for example, but I want to associate a box or a SharePoint document to it, Unity lets you do that. You can actually have process from one source and then content from multiple other sources, but use them together as if they all belong to the same application. Number three, we're not, some vendors do this, some don't. We're not just throwing an iframe around kind of the normal vendor UI. We're adding an abstraction layer that has additional features to it. So for example, we can normalize and transform customer data in flight. If I have a field that's named different things in different repositories, I can harmonize them to use one name in front of the users. I can merge data into this view from other sources, which you heard about a minute ago. Who are the key people to talk to identify an opportunity? Number one, business owners, department level directors, basically the people who are most affected by content sprawl and they see the most impact from it on their teams. So they're leaders who know that if they can get that 360 view of information, if they can stop swivel chairing between multiple screens, their lives will be easier, their responsiveness to KPIs will be better. Number two, exec sponsors who want cloud and low code, no code. So the same people who say yes to Dynamics 365 are people who would say yes to Unity. There's a really complementary story. We're cloud ready. We provide low code tools. We've already solved the challenges of connecting to vendor systems in a way that is attractive to customers who want to minimize custom work, or rather want to focus their custom dollars on customer experience and user experience versus integrations. Number three, IT sponsors. They care about integration frameworks and platforms, so we're already speaking their language. They care about security, hybrid cloud, containers. They know that the business wants access to these enterprise systems, but they're lacking a good long-term answer other than migrating everything to one place or building a lot of custom code. And now you have an answer for them that's attractive. You're the digital transformation experts. You've got this modern integration framework called Unity, so you're going to bring your expertise to bear and the right tool set to solve their problems. All right, so let's jump into a demo. I'll go ahead and get set up here. So I'm going to start off showing Actionable Analytics. And let me pull up the screen while I'm talking here. And I'm going to show it embedded within the Dynamics context. So right now I'm in Dynamics, but I've brought up a Unity view. It didn't prompt me to log in. It's seamlessly handling security, but I'm able to show it within Dynamics. So say I'm a new business manager at hypothetical insurance. I was just hired, and I really want to dive in and start solving problems. I want to start improving our SLA response. I want to improve customer experience. So with Unity for Dynamics, I have an embedded view of my work, and I can start taking immediate action to both research my kind of SLA problems and solve them. So let's say for claims processing. So this is my claims processing actionable analytics dashboard that let's say I spent a couple of days and created because this is what I'm interested in. I heard we're not meeting our SLA targets and I want to understand why. I want to dive in and start fixing it. So I see from here my current and historical claims. It's showing me SLA performance, what claims were processed, when were they processed, and it's showing me things like failure reasons. When something breaches SLA, we're entering in a reason for why that happened. And from there, I can kind of immediately see that number one reason overwhelmingly why we're breaching SLA is missing information. So I'll click on that. My view kind of refreshes here. I can see, drill down information on just those claims that were missing information. And again, I can see, okay, of the ones that are missing information, 75% of those are marine claims. So a boat that sank or had damage on it. And immediately I know that something's off here because, marine claims aren't 75% of my overall book. So I'm narrowing in on where this problem is. And I have standard analytics views that I can see here. I can see activity over time. I have a heat map, so I can actually use this to see if I drill down further, it's specifically marine claims in Florida that are really amounting for a disproportional number of SLA breaches for claims. So I can use this to see what's going on, to kind of start drilling down and identifying kind of where my problems are. But with a lot of kind of BI or analytics tools, that's kind of the first part, and then you have to pick up the phone and talk to someone, or you need to, do that last mile yourself to really kind of figure out, okay, I know where the problem is, but I don't know what the problem is. With our tool set with Actionable Analytics, you can drill all the way down. So if you notice when I was kind of clicking on elements here, it's been continuously filtering this set of cases in the upper right. And I can actually work with these cases. Now that I have a constrained view that's showing me, here's my missing information marine claims from Florida, I can drill down and look at them and see what's going on. What does the metadata look like? What actions have been taken on it? What's the history? I can immediately see, okay, yeah, this is missing key information that I would need to actually process the claim. If I look at the documents that are related to this, and again, those documents could come from anywhere, maybe I drill down on this document and I can see, okay, it's the wrong form. For some reason, we're using a form that doesn't ask the right questions for an actionable marine claim. So this example, it's a health insurance form, which is clearly the wrong thing. So I can actually drill down and see, okay, here's the issue that's happening, and I can fix that issue. I could go in and maybe replace this form. I could take an action on this particular case. This one's already processed, but for ones that are in process, I can escalate them. I can make a fundamental change to reassign a bunch of these to a particular task team to resolve the issue. So I'm able to actually take action, not just see a view of what's going on. So users will often ask when I show this, great, can I customize it? Or is you just have a claims view? Absolutely. So this is just a dashboard that we built using Unity to show this particular problem, but you could solve any number of problems or show any set of information from this particular view, and you can mix and match different visualizations and information that's there. So summarizing this capability. So with Actionable Analytics, you get this great kind of combined view of current and historical data. You get the power of analytics behind it, and you get your customers' users can process work directly from it. So there's a lot of value that's kind of packed in there. But as the solution integrator, how does this help you? So you can bring this capability to the table when you are doing app modernization, when you're building a new app, when you're working through a digital transformation challenge where you're moving them onto Dynamics. So your staff can work with the customer to understand, what are your core problems? What types of interfaces do you need? What's the solution that's going to excite and delight your users and your customers? And then you can use our tool set to quickly build what they need to do that with respect to processing cases, with dealing with content, with getting the right view of their information. You don't need a ton of expertise to do it. You can iterate quickly on it to evolve it. You're not having to write code to connect to vendors. You have all this information in a low code, no code package. So it's a great capability that really complements what you're already doing for the customer to be able to say yes to asks that they have. So let's next look at kind of our core use case, which is that merging enterprise content and process and embedding it into Dynamics. So I will, let's see, I'm going to do this from the customer service hub. So notice we support all kind of the different pillars that are within Dynamics 365. I'm showing you just kind of an example of a couple of these now. Let's say I'm a underwriter at hypothetical insurance. A broker calls me up and says, hey, I want to book a policy for Burlington Textiles. Some maybe for like their fleet of vehicles. I want vehicle policies. Quote me a price. So as an underwriter, I need to make a fast decision, or the broker is going to go somewhere else. But it needs to be the right price that I'm quoting them, or we lose money on this insurance deal. So what information do I need? I need information about Burlington's revenue and employee numbers, and that lives in Dynamics. I need maybe their current policy, which for hypothetical insurance lives in FileNet because that's the policy system. I need customer documents, and we just started using Box because that's our nice kind of low friction way to get documents from a customer. and I need claims history, and that lives in maybe our custom claim system. So that's 4 different systems where to quickly answer this question, I need to pull information from. But with Unity for Dynamics, I'm just going to go to one place to do that. So let's pull up Burlington Textiles account. And this is, you're all hopefully familiar with Dynamics 365. This is just a vanilla implementation that's right here. If I go to Burlington Textiles, I can see my standard kind of CRM level information about them. Maybe I've got revenue information that's in here. I have just, basic kind of information that lives in the system. And then I can go from, all right, so I have my details that are here. I can see their revenue employee numbers. And then now I want to see the documents that are relevant. So I'll click on this Documents tab. And what it's going to do is it's going to load the Unity component. So it's an embedded kind of widget that's showing me a filtered view of all of the content that's relevant for Burlington Textiles from all of my different repositories. And in this example, we're showing you different tabs for different repositories, just to kind of show that we can connect to FileNet, to SharePoint, CM8, et cetera. But as a user, what I care about is this All tab. I care about just show me documents that are relevant. Show me what I need to see for Burlington Textiles that would help me answer my question. And it could be coming from FileNet, could be coming from SharePoint, Box, any of these systems. I don't need to care. I just see that it's from here. So if I filter down on my documents, let's say, so they're asking a question about a fleet of vehicles. So I can see my different documents that are relevant here. If I want to open one of these, so look at this PDF, I can drill down and take a look at the actual information that's here. So I can maybe these are policy documents that I'm able to kind of extract information from. If I want to see metadata that's related to these, so let's try this Word document here. So I can see the metadata that lives in this case, FileNet. But again, as a user, I don't need to care where it lives. So if I want to update a customer number, so maybe this is clearly not the right one, I can make an update to metadata and save it. I can version the document. So if I want to check this out, make some changes to it, check it back in, delete it, all sorts of things along those lines. I can add new documents. So if I want to add, let's say like a new policy document, and notice this isn't saying add it to Box, add it to FileNet. It's just prompting me with what kind of document do you want to add? And then it's going to direct it to the appropriate repository for it to be stored in. So in this case, policy document, I'll go ahead and add, I could add, 3 or 4 of them, let's say. I'll drag in a bunch of documents. I can apply metadata to them. I can give them kind of a generic title, and then it'll add all of those documents and then restore them into the underlying repository that's appropriate for that. So we talked about viewing content. We talked about adding documents. I talked a little bit about kind of these other tabs. So if I want to see just a view of this one repository, like show me only my FileNet documents, I can do that. But again, the real power is in combining from the multiple repositories. A question that users often ask is, if I don't have rights in the underlying system to see a document, is it still going to show it? Like, am I going to be able to see stuff that I'm not supposed to see because the integration is exposing things? And the answer is no. We are actually reusing the customer's investment in their underlying repository in terms of security. So I'm logged into Dynamics as Andrew. It's pulling back documents as Andrew. It's saying, okay, FileNet or SharePoint or any of these repositories, show me what Andrew's allowed to see. And it's hiding anything that Andrew's not allowed to see. So you're not going to have a situation where PII gets exposed in a way that's damaging. So let's take a second use case here around cases. So say I'm a claims representative and P&J Construction just called and they've got a problem with their policy document. And maybe I don't really know what system that policy document is. I'm just kind of providing first line support for them. Also, they opened a claim on Monday and they haven't seen it move anywhere, and they want that claim to be processed. So I'm on the phone with them. They're already unhappy. They need answers quickly. I don't want to transfer them to underwriting because then that's just going to antagonize them further. So with Unity for Dynamics, from one interface, I can solve both of these challenges. I can see my policy cases. I can update documents in them. I can find a claim and take action on it. So I will switch over to P&J. Again, a lot of this is just standard dynamics. So this is very vanilla, but if you're building a full application on the 365 platform, same functionality applies. We can embed these capabilities into whatever context makes the most sense for you. So if I look at cases, so let's see. I want to find, I know that it's a policy that's in, let's say, initial review. So if I search by initial, and it's going to search across all the metadata and all the information that's here to find them. I think it's, let's say it's this vehicle policy, for example. So I can open up my case. I can see the full set of metadata that's on the case. If there's customization you want to have happen here to show multiple tabs of information or different case capabilities, we can show that from here. I can see documents that are related to it. And let's say that in this case, there's no documents. Let's say that there's supposed to be a couple policy documents that are in here. And I want to attach them, but I don't necessarily know where they live in the system. I can add a new document from my desktop, but more interestingly, I can add them from my repositories. In this example, I could say attach something existing from FileMat and do a search for, say, additional. And it'll look in my repository or my multiple repositories. Again, I shouldn't need to care where the document lives. I can find the document that I want to attach and I can attach it to this case. So now I attach that document. Now the customer is able to see their policy documents. Maybe it kicks off other processes. But the point is, this case lives in a totally different system, but I'm able to take these actions from Dynamics to resolve that customer issue. So let's look at the claims one. So if I'm, let's see, if I want to go to claims, and this will show me, again, this is a contextual view. So it's showing me all of the claims that are relevant to P&J construction. Let's say the claim is related to a Mr. Smith. Oh, looks like Smith doesn't show up there. So let's do something more generic. So I'll just remove that. I'll just open any of these. Let's say there's a, with adjuster. So I can similarly, I can open up this task. I can see maybe the history behind it. So maybe I open up their claim and I see a history that tells me kind of what steps it went through. Maybe it got sent to the adjuster, but it shouldn't have gone to the adjuster. It has already passed that point and should be on another one. So I could go in and add a comment saying, escalate. Oh, can't spell escalate, but you get the idea. So I can add a comment for the adjuster. Maybe I can, in this case, like there's an action that I want to take on it. I can see the set of buttons to take an action, maybe to skip it over the adjuster step, or maybe to escalate it to a supervisor. But the point is, I can see the set of tasks and I can work on them from Dynamics. I'm not having to go to another system and then search by the account number for P&J construction or anything like that. So as a user, I was able to solve my customer issues using this 360-degree view. But for you as a solutions integrator, app builders, Dynamics and Power Platform experts, think about how this helps you. So you're building an app on the platform. You get to focus on things like the customer experience, the screens that they want, the overall flow of how they're doing their work, doing whatever customization they need from a UI perspective or Microsoft Flow or any other components there. You get to spend the time talking to your customer, building them something that excites them, not the time researching vendor APIs, building custom connections to do a subset of what those enterprise repositories have. You're using Unity to do that instead. So you can have a faster delivery to the customer, and you can spend those dollars on the things that are in your wheelhouse that you do really well, that excite and delight the customer in general. So last part I'll show, for an administrator of Dynamics. So maybe I'm a part of the customer's IT, maybe I'm a business power user for the customer, or maybe I'm an admin or a developer or a BA that's on your staff that's tasked with building or updating applications for that customer. So let's say the business wants to change something in the UI. Maybe they want to search a new repository or create a different view or change like the set of fields that I can filter on. But I'm not a FileMat expert. I'm not an integration developer. I'm not writing code. And maybe as a customer, I have a fairly low budget for doing this. And the business also doesn't want to wait months for this change to happen. So with Unity for Dynamics, we can use Powerapps, which is the platform that underlies all of this. We can use a set of our reusable widgets that are low code, no code, and I can make those changes right from Powerapps to alter something about how the user's doing work. So I'll show this briefly. There's a much kind of deeper dive that we could, in theory, do for this. If should have it open here. So if I go to Powerapps, so as you all know, there's aspects of Dynamics 365 that are essentially leveraging Powerapps. So for these examples that I'm showing, I'll go in and I'll take a look at the customer service hub, which could be your fully custom app, or it could be, the kind of the standard CRM apps that are provided. If I want to make changes to this, I can go in, I'll go to my account entity here, because that's what we used for this integration. But any of these entities, anything that has metadata on it in Dynamics, we can use to embed the Unity components into. So I'll click on edit here. I'll just bring up the basic screen, and a lot of folks might be familiar with kind of how to make these kinds of changes in Powerapps. But the point is, I'm basically using the Powerapps tools to configure and embed the Unity components. So I'm picking the entity where I want the Unity components to be embedded in. I can add it as a component that's on the screen and use the basic kind of Powerapps tools for this. It's essentially, it's in effect, it's a web component that's embedded on the page. I'll make this a little bigger so it's a little less painful to see. And then from here, it's just Unity is just one kind of embedded component that's on the screen. So I can make some changes from the kind of the newer Powerapps interface. If I go to the classic view, there's more changes I can do to change kind of where this is going on the screen, or what data is getting passed, or that sort of thing. But I'm able to really do those changes directly from your kind of normal Powerapps interface there. So two things to stress on this. So because this is low code, no code, it gives you a lot of options for how you use it. So your teams can use it for a rapid application build type of use case. You could hand it over to the customer if there's certain aspects that the customer really wants to own, or even a business power user that wants to do it. But you kind of have that flexibility of how you want to leverage the tool. And then the second piece, again, I'm giving you just the tip of the iceberg as far as showing kind of where and how this is configured. There's a lot that you can do from Powerapps. We also provide a similar UI-based low code, no code configuration console where you can do deeper customization. Not really customization, it's configuration. You can connect to a new repository using this UI. You can change what metadata is being extracted from that repository. I gave an example earlier of like harmonizing a field name between different repositories. You can do that from this UI rather than having to dive into a code level. I'm interested in feedback on how deep people want to dive into this. So, ask us questions, send us information, and maybe we can do a follow-up on that one. So what did we just see? You saw actionable analytics. I was able to quickly identify and improve my business process. You saw a single seamless view of content and process where I was able to do my work, get a good customer outcome with this 360 view of my information. I'm able to quickly configure kind of where and how users access these components, and I did it all from Dynamics. So let me just kind of summarize overall what we've talked about here. So Intellective Unity is our integration framework. With it, you can sell more services, win more work at new and existing customers. You can focus on the type of work that you do well and lower the cost and the risk and the time spent on things like that harder 20% around integration. You can be more sticky within a customer organization, so resell more seats, get your services involved with more applications, and just overall provide more value to the customer. Customers get value when you use Unity. You're solving their content sprawl problem. They get smarter, faster, better decisions, better outcomes for their customers. And you're giving them that kind of holy grail of that 360-degree view of information. The ideal target customer for Unity wants to use Dynamics or Power Platform for the user applications. They also have content, workflow, and data in multiple enterprise systems. And really, if you scratch the surface of most customers, you'll find that they have a lot more isolated silos and systems out there than you'd think. If you need help identifying customers, if you want a deeper demo, if you have more questions than what we answered today, contact us. So Gary, you heard him talk at the beginning. He's our channel director. He'd love to talk to you all. If you have questions, deeper dive, we have a demo capability that we can basically create a system that that you can use to play with some of this functionality. If you have a customer that you'd like to develop, Gary's your guy for that.
Great, thank you, Andrew, very much. That was great. So to Andrew's point, you can always contact me at gvelotta, VELOTTA, at intellective.com. We can start a conversation on any of these topics that you'd like to talk about. So thank you for that. I do see a few questions, and we have a few minutes.
Gary, the question that came in that I saw a couple different ways, but what is a typical company that would deploy Unity?
I can answer that, Andrew. So we not exclusive. We work in all industries, but our experience has been in financial services, which would be investment banking firms, would be wealth management firms, would be mortgage kind of organizations and credit unions. Banking, where in banking it could be lending, it could be commercial lending, could be residential lending. In banks also have wealth management groups. Insurance could be claims insurance, and healthcare could be customer service. It's typically at the front end of a process. And we do work in the government space. We tend to, but not exclusively, work with mid-sized type organizations to the enterprise. And that's a pretty big span. So it really does depend on the kind of organization, depends on the challenge that they have in front of them, but it's typically a mid-sized to enterprise organization.
So many of these organizations, I see another question about the applications that they might use, might be unique to those industries, might be across the board. What kind of apps does Unity work with specifically, if you have more detail on that?
Do you want me to take that one, Gary?
Yeah, okay, Andrew.
Sure. So it's kind of on two different sides. So there's on the one side, there's business applications and CRMs that we integrate with. So Microsoft Dynamics 365, Salesforce, Encino, and there's a lot of others that we can work with in the future that we're looking at together with partners like you, Epic. We've talked to folks about like Oracle, ServiceNow, some other ones. So I'm actually really interested in your feedback on what are the types of platforms and business applications that you see customers using where there's a fit for the kind of capability that we're talking about. On the other end, in terms of enterprise systems that we interact with, there's a whole list of them, but SharePoint, the IBM has a number of them, FileNet, CMOD, CM8, our content side. What used to be Case Manager and is now called BAW, but both of kind of the workflow tools they have, we can bring that case into your applications via Unity, Box, Alfresco, OpenText, a couple different tools under the OpenText umbrella, and all of these are native connectors. So we do support CMIS for any ECM that supports that, Documentum, Nuxio, Laserfish. There's a bunch of them, but we have direct native API support for a lot of these vendors. So we don't have a lot of the limitations that CMIS brings and can give you the full functionality that's in these underlying repositories. JBPM for workflow, Red Hat, PAM. There's a pretty big list. If you don't see something here that you're interested in, again, reach out to Gary. We're really interested in talking to partners about what's the next connector that makes sense. And as a framework, we're constantly building new connectors into Unity to provide this value for users with different repositories.
So as I look at the time here, thanks, Andrew. we're actually out of time. Time flies. And what we'll do, as I mentioned in the beginning, is we will there are some additional questions. We'll answer those questions. We'll also send you the recording. So you'll give us a day or two and we'll get the recording to you and answer to any of the open questions. And again, feel free, you'll see my email. Feel free to drop me an email to discuss any topics here that you'd like to discuss. So again, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for the attendees. We appreciate it and have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.